Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Wright Experience. I'm Dr. William Wright Jr., the founder and host of this show. And I want to thank you all for joining us once again. We've taken a bit of a hiatus, but we're going to get back to regular programming because we do understand the importance of the work that we're trying to do here. And as we begin this brand new school year for me personally, in a couple of days here, we're looking forward to continuing to bring you the very best content that we can bring from leaders all across the state and nation. Tonight is no exception. We have an amazing guest tonight. This gentleman and I actually were regional superintendent finalists together a few years ago. And I certainly thought that he was going to win that prize, but we went to another worthy candidate. But we certainly enjoyed having those conversations together. Tonight, he is going to talk to us about a brand new book, and maybe we'll pick his brain a little bit about some other things that might be pertinent to us as we continue to learn more about leadership in our podcast. Tonight's guest is Dr. Pascal Mubenga. Dr. Pascal Mubenga is now a retired educator. Dr. Pascal Mubenga has enjoyed a successful career in public education spanning over 28 years in the state of North Carolina. He was superintendent of Franklin County and Durham public schools in North Carolina. He also served as a district transformational coach, a school transformation team lead, and school transformation coach with the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction for 4 years. Immediately preceding his work with the NCDPI, he was the principal at Jones Senior High School in Jones County, North Carolina, from 2007 to 2011. Dr. Mubenga has also previously served as an assistant principal in Franklin County and a math teacher in Johnston County. He was also a math teacher at Tuning Middle School in Durham for 3 years, and he began his career in public education as a math teacher in God's country. That's what I call it anyway, for the Nash Rocky Mount Public Schools. He doesn't know this, but he's getting ready to find out. Dr. Mubenga, I am from Nash County. You didn't know that until just now, did you?
I heard about it.
Okay, all right.
I knew about it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, Dr. Mubenga, I want to welcome you to the Wright Experience. I'm certainly honored to have you aboard. As I mentioned to the audience just a minute ago, you and I were regional finalists together, and I think we sat at the same table. And I don't know, I might have even cracked a joke or two at that time. I don't know, knowing me. But I've always admired your leadership, and particularly the work that you did in both of the school districts in North Carolina as superintendent. Is work that we all have tried to pattern ourselves after. Certainly some amazing accomplishments in both districts, and I'm just honored to have you be a part of this show, and we'll get an opportunity to talk about the book and maybe pick your brain a little bit tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, for the opportunity to join this wonderful Wright Experience. And I've watched the show before. I've seen some other superintendent coming to the show, and I think you were able to share that in other platform as well. So very delighted. I was really pleased when I heard there was a superintendent coming to North Carolina, coming from South Carolina. And from that point, I knew a little bit about you. And now that you're back again to South Carolina, thank you for all the work that you've been able to do in North Carolina. And thank you for the friendship and trying to really bring in folks to be able to share their practices and all the experiences they had in the past with any person in your audience that are following us. So I'm really delighted to be here.
I appreciate that. So let's get right into the book. I learned through a birdie, kind of, sort of, that Dr. Mubenga was writing a book even before I got the word from you. So talk to us about it. What inspired you to write it, first of all, and then, of course, tell us about it and what we can expect to read in it and learn.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, again for the opportunity to share with your audience about my book, which was published at the beginning of May of this current year. As I was getting ready for retirement, and 3 years ago, I was thinking about it. I said, I've been in a lot of places. I think you just read my bio, and I was able to cover a lot of area in North Carolina. I covered pretty much Northeast, serving as a consultant, and I was at Southeast North Carolina as well as a principal. And I touched a little bit Central North Carolina. I was superintendent there, two different districts, and a little bit part of West as well in my job with the Department of Public Instruction. Some of the work that I was able to do, and I'm really pleased to say that I have a lot of principals that are now they are superintendent, and some of them are assistant superintendent. When you see them relating to you and telling you some of the impacts that I've been able to have in their experiences, and I was like, now that I'm getting ready for retirement, I need to put something in writing. And writing as those people that's been able to preview or to read my book. And I said the best way to really leave something behind, it needs to be so personal. It needs to be in terms of letter. I'm writing you a letter about all the good things I was able to do to impact different school district as well the school system. And also, not only that, some of those best practices that I was able to work with my principals. And some of my principals, when they read this, they say, yeah, we heard this, but it's really a good resource for us. Anytime we really need to refer to something, we can go back to your book. So I really wanted this to have a national impact. I've been able to talk to several superintendents across the nation, and that they're buying the book to be able to share with their principals. So it's making some folks' job even easier. Some of the stuff that you like, if you're a superintendent, trying to tell your principal how they need to hire the staff, how they need to collaborate with the staff, how they need to set up the PLC, professional learning community. So they're all here, and I'm really delighted to be able to share this with the entire country so that they can see some of the good work that I was able to do during my tenure of 28 years in North Carolina.
And so when you talk about professional learning communities, I certainly know what that is, but talk a little bit about what that is and how it informs instruction.
Thank you so much for that particular question, even though I would like to go a little bit at the beginning of the book, but let me go with your particular question. Then I'm going to go back. I'm going to digress a little bit to go looking at letter one, but I'm not going to give all the source of the book because I love folks to buy the book and have a resource on their fingertips. So when it comes to professional learning community, personally, I like to call it a laboratory. I call it a lab. You know, when you assemble your team, if you're a principal of a school, other places, they'll call them executive of a particular school, you have to bring a team around you. When you bring a team around you, you set up all the goals, or what is the strategic plan for the school or the district. But at some point, you have to go back to the lab with your team, whether you're a superintendent, whether you are a principal. This is what we decided we're going to do, how we're monitoring the work. So that's collaborative involvement. That's what I call professional learning community, collaborative involvement. And I like to call it a laboratory. The reason I call it a laboratory because if you're in a medical field, you go to a lab, that's where you have to go test a lot of things. You look at all your source, you're putting things together, say, this is what we said we're going to do. How is it working out in your particular classroom, Miss Smith? How is it working in your classroom, Miss Johnson? What are the pitfalls? What are the successes? You are in that collaborative environment. And then that's where you prepare the whole source so that you can go back to your respective classrooms or to your respective building to be able to see that impact. So it's just a collaborative environment. And I like to call it laboratory.
I love that explanation. I never really heard it put that way, but that's exactly what well-functioning professional learning communities are. They're labs for us to get better, aren't they? So let's tell us about the book.
So the book, as I said, pretty much this is so personal. As you can see, the cover of the book. This is the paper copy of the book, and there's a hard copy as well. I see a lot of people buying those hard copy. So I really started with letter number one, which I call establishing the dream team. I always tell my principals when I was still working, education is one of the few fields that's almost everybody has a college degree.
Okay.
So to be able to have a dream team, you cannot select those folks by yourself. You have to have a support to be able to run your school. That's
Mhm.
why establishing your administrative team, I call it a dream team. If you miss that mark, it's going to be really hard for you to do this hard work, as you know it, and it's getting harder every single day. You got to have a dream team with you. We see our folks going to start Olympic in Paris starting tomorrow. So you got to have a dream team with you if you really want to tackle, if you really want to win. So that's letter number one. And I was able to give some tips when you read my book, how you select people that's going to surround you for you to call it a dream team.
Mhm.
At the end of every letter that I wrote, you're going to see there are reflective questions. This book is not something that just for you to read by yourself, but if you have a team, you're conducting, let's say, professional learning community, or you go on a retreat, there are reflective questions at the end of every chapter, except chapter 7. So this is what Dr. Mubenga said about establishing a dream team. These are the questions. Do we really have a dream team?
Mhm.
They are reflective questions. So your group got to be able to answer those questions. And the principal, you have to answer that question as well, because the book was intended just for principal and assistant principals. It's a really good resource for a superintendent also. A superintendent can be really busy with a lot of responsibilities. They can just post on the book to the principal, say, hey, those are really good reflective questions. Do you really have a good dream team to do the work? So then I go from letter one to letter two. You have your team. How are you sharing those responsibilities?
Okay.
How are you distributing those responsibilities? And I don't want to get too much in detail. I've seen principals working 24/7, like superintendent do as well.
Right.
But if you have a good team, you have to be able to trust those folks to be able to take some other responsibilities. They are not going to do the work exactly as the way you would like for that to be done, because we all have different type, different personality, different leadership style. But you have to take that risk to be able to distribute those responsibilities. That's letter two. Then you get to letter three. As a principal, you have your team. Now, you have to recruit teachers and other staff to get a job done. Are you going to lock yourself in your office as a principal, just start recruiting? No, that's not good practice. You have to have a team, because we have different lenses as we're looking at the quality staff that we like to bring to our buildings. That's letter three. I don't want to get too much details. So you got to look at how you're going to recruit, as well as how you're going to retain those teachers. Critical. We are in a profession across the nation. It's really hard to find really good teachers. It's really hard to find good educators. How are you going to invest in those staff so you'll be able to retain them? That's the letter three. And then letter four, once you have your team, you have your dream team, you have your staff, you got to start thinking how you're going to move your school forward. If
Uh-huh.
it's a struggling school, how are you going to turn it around? It's a lot of work. And that kind of work, it takes special people to turn around those schools. But if you have a well-functioning schools, but still, I always brag this, not brag, I always challenge our school leaders. If you have a school performing at 70, 80%, but you still have that 20 or 30% that are not there yet, you have those AIG students that need to be stretched. So every school can be a turnaround schools, because you still need to stretch your staff as well as your students. And then you from that point you go to letter four, which pretty much start talking about during the summer. How do you take a break? How do you take your staff to a retreat
Mhm.
to start thinking about the work ahead of you? So that's almost midpoint of this book. And then you go to chapter five or letter five. how do you establish those SMART goals? And a lot of folks give me a lot of kudos when it comes to SMART goals because I'm very meticulous when it comes to how to set up those goals. And my book will pretty much give all those details. That's chapter 5. Then you go all the way to 10. You have how you design a master schedule.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I always say you don't leave this responsibility to your school counselors alone. It needs to be a collaborative work because if the master schedule is not done properly, you're not going to be able to turn around your schools. It's really critical. And then you go from there, you go to letter 7, establishing PLC. 8, how you institute benchmark protocols. And then 9, again, you go there, start looking again, construct comprehensive data-driven professional learning community. So it's really, if anyone that has been in education for a long time, just good common sense.
Yeah, sure.
But a lot of times when we're leading schools, we are so busy, we are caught up in political arena, dealing with different issues, policies, and all that. Sometimes we tend to forget what are just common sense. Mm-hmm. So good resource for principals and also good resource for aspiring principals. You know, I've seen those principals first year, they named them to be in charge of a particular school, nervous as they can be sometimes, and some of them can be very excited with all these mixed emotions. But having this book will be a good guide for them to take them to a better place. So that's pretty much like a summary of what the book is entails, and I'm really excited that I'm leaving it to our future generations. And some of us started a long time ago in the 90s. Now we are exiting on the sideline, and there are some folks that will come to you for coaching, things of that nature, mentoring, and all that kind of stuff. But I cannot reach out to too many people across the nation. But I really wanted to leave this behind so that folks will be able to take advantage of that.
How commendable it is for you to have undertaken that. So what was the thing or the things that inspired you to do it? Was it just, I need to leave this so other people can benefit from it, or was what inspired you to do it?
Thank you. You know, in this particular profession, all of us, we had some mentors that we've been looking up to, and they've done some good work. One of mine was Dr. Bill McNeil, former Wake County superintendent. Right. I think back in 2005, it was the national superintendent for the nation. There are times where it was really hard for me, and I will pull him. I say, Dr. McNeil, let's go to lunch. I need some advice. Right. And just being able to be around those folks that have done the work. And when you present your problem, it will run you through the process, how to come up with solutions. I said, these folks, they're not going to be here forever. So I had a privilege where I could pull him out for lunch to have a conversation, but they're not going to be here forever. Same way with all of us. Dr. Wright, one day you're going to exit. And all the knowledge that you've been able to have is really good to be able to say, hey, if you go, you look at this book, there may be some questions that you'll be able to answer by just reading the book. There may be some others, but there's still going to be mentors out there that you can be able to reach out to be able to get your questions answered. So that was pretty much the motive. Yes, let me just put something out there. I may not be accessible now that I'm retired, and I may have some other project that I like to do. It may not be in education, but at least somebody can look at the book and be able to read my mind.
I love it. I think it's a great thing and an inspiration to me. Maybe I need to get started on mine as well. I think that's outstanding. So talk to us a little bit about how our readers can get a hold of your book. How to, if somebody wants to order or get it, what do they need to do?
My book is published in all the major platforms.
Okay.
Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Walmart.
Okay.
All you have to do is just look at the title, or you just type my name, Pascal Mubenga, Dr. Pascal Mubenga. So it's gonna come up. So
Okay.
it's in all the major platforms.
All right, wonderful, wonderful. And we are so honored because the book just came out. I think you said in May. So certainly honored to have this opportunity to be, I guess, one of the first at least to openly talk about it. So you've done this career and done this work excellently. You served as a superintendent for many years. So let's say you've got a new leader. And I know the book details some of this, but a new leader in general. We can talk about education and the specifics of it. What are some maybe quick advice that you would give to someone who is delving into the world of leadership, be it educational or otherwise?
Thank you for that question. I think I was able to pretty much pinpoint some of respond to your question in my book as well. I'll say this: I was superintendent in suburb area of North Carolina, Franklin County. I was superintendent in Durham for almost 7 years in an urban district. Every district is different.
Uh-huh.
That's what superintendent, new superintendent, as well as new leaders in any building, they need to know. So whatever strategies that I was able to put in place to be able to transform Franklin County, I was not quickly able to put the same strategy when I went to Durham Public Schools because every environment is different. As research or best practice has been around the country for a while, we all heard about 30, 60, 90 days. And some folks, they use 100 days. So you have to go learn about that particular environment. Very important. You may have some ideas in the back of your mind. What do you like to accomplish? But being able to go survey, learn about the environment is really critical. And then the toolkits that we have based on our experiences, then you're going to be able to bring those toolkits once you know the environment. My advice to new leaders: you go to any place, you got to be positive, excited about the opportunity, but it's always good to learn the environment
Okay.
first.
So just because I'm the top leader and I'm making the decisions and all of that, I don't get to stop learning every day. Is that
You got it right. I've seen some top leaders in one environment,
right?
very successful. They go to another place, it did not work out. So learning the environment is really important.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for that. I've got a frequent viewer who has a question. We'll see how this one goes. How do you reach consent and cohesion across a district,
Thank you.
or do you?
Uh, Most of the time, yes, it depends on the approach that you're gonna take.
Right.
A good leader is someone that's listen.
Okay.
You may have your agenda, what you would like to accomplish based on your past experiences, but listening skills are very critical to be able
Hmm.
to reach a consensus.
Hmm.
You may have had a solution to the problem as you going to that table of conversation, but listening to different persons around the room may sway you a little bit
Okay.
to a different solution that you initially had. That's why we call sometimes consensus. Everybody came with their own ideas, but you got to a point where you gotta be able to compromise. You giving some, then you take some. So it takes good listening skills in order to reach out those consensus. Would you be able to reach a consensus all the time as a leader? No.
Right. Sure.
And I used to tell my staff, even when I was a high school principal, they're going to be 85% of the time, we're going to reach that consensus. They're going to be 15%. It's going to be mine, my decision.
That's
And
right.
I want you to support me with that because we cannot reach a consensus 100% of the time, all the time. So,
And
leader,
leadership really has to be that way, doesn't it? It really does.
you have to take the risk.
That's right.
And your team, if they believe in you, they trust you, they're going to give you that 10 or 15%.
Right. Right.
Will they be the right decision all the time? Maybe not, but they got to trust you.
That's right. That's right. Such insightful words of wisdom. I appreciate that more than you know. So, what's next? What's next? You got the book out now. Any future plans? Any that you can share with us now? Don't
I'm really excited about the book. It's going really well, and I've been able to connect with a lot of leaders across the nation,
okay.
sharing ideas. And
Sure.
I'm gonna be ready to travel across the nation,
Okay.
sharing the book. And why not do some sessions if those opportunities open up across the nation? So that's probably next, but I think I'm gonna take it really low key. As I said, I'm retired. Coaching, it will be pretty much my strong suit at this point. See those young leaders that need help, questions, and a little bit guidance, a little bit holding hands as they're navigating the first year or second year. So that's what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to push too much. Again, if you ask me what's next, and I think I just came out of the country, a couple trip. One was 1 week, and another one was out of the country for a month. And I'm going to do a lot of traveling and at the same time pushing my book.
Yes, I saw some pretty nice pictures there that I got shared with me. I was like, man, he's enjoying himself, which is great. We always have to have that healthy balance, don't we? Yeah, absolutely. So,
You got it right.
Dr. Mubenga, if you'll hold on with me, we'll come back and close out the show in just a minute.
Thank you.
To my Wright Experience audience, just thank you so very much for being a part of this growing network of folks that we have that are enjoying and tuning into this content. We're going to make sure that we more frequently provide content that we have over the past couple of months. We'll go back and do some rerun shows, and we're going to expand as we've talked about our audience to other disciplines and make sure that we find some interesting guests for you. We'd also like to give you the opportunity to reach out to us via our Facebook page or via our YouTube channel to let us know who you'd like to see on the show. I am certainly open to interviewing guests across all genres of life so that we can continue to bring you the very best content that we can. It is indeed my pleasure to have been doing this work now for a little bit over 3 years, and certainly look forward to continuing to operate and do this work to the best of our ability. Uh, Dr. Mubenga, my friend, thank you so very much. Certainly honored to have you on the show. You again, it is no small thing to have done what you did and accomplished as an educational leader in two districts that are very different. You know, Franklin County and Durham public schools are not exactly the same. I'll just say it that way. And yet you did that work and did it excellently. And so we're looking forward to helping with the distribution of the book and getting it out there so that people can learn from your successes. And this platform is open at any time that you'd like to come back and share with us. We'll certainly be more than willing to make that happen.
Thank you, Dr. Wright, as I said at the beginning, for the opportunity. And to your audience, Dr. Wright has my number, my
Great.
contact info as well for superintendent that will need my assistant. I'm flexible, I'm available. So just reach out to me via email as well as my number that Dr. Wright has, and I'll be glad to talk to you.
All right. Is there any of that too that you would like to share? We could post a little bit of it. You tell us. Is there a website or something they can get you, or you want to go through the show? We can certainly do that as well.
If you just put up my email as well as my number, that will be
Okay.
sufficient. Yeah,
All right. Sounds good. Dr. Mubenga, once again, thank you very much. And to the Wright Experience, thank you and good evening.
my pleasure. Thank you.